Okay. About 10 years ago, a little girl was born that changed my life. She was and is my little precious goddaughter, AC Ray. I absolutely adore her, and being her auntie is one of the most important relationships in my life for me. I just got done watching the evening news, and they included fairly few segments of some of the children who were murdered in Texas this week. And many of those children are right around her same age, and it just killed me. I miss her so much already. I haven't seen her in almost a year. And to think about her going off to school and never coming home again, or I would say almost as bad, going off to school and seeing classmates die, or being severely injured, or, I mean, all of those children in that school, every single one of them, are going to be traumatized for the rest of their lives. Every single child in that school is a victim. Every single child in that community is a victim. I know that, and I'm not just being hyperbolic there. My cousins lived in South Florida. My cousin actually went to high school in Parkland, Florida. She's about my age, so this was quite some time ago. But her children are elementary school age, and they were at their home in Parkland during the events that happened there not so long ago. And I know it was very traumatic for them. It wasn't their school, it wasn't people they knew, but it was their community, and so they were victims of that crime, not to the same degree as those students at the school, but to a certain extent, certainly. Part of what disturbs me so about the news coverage that I saw, which is actually the first regular nightly news broadcast that I've watched since the event happened. I don't typically watch that kind of news. I get my news different ways, so a multitude of sources, but not usually that, very packaged nightly news thing. That's something my dad has the habit of, so when he's around, that's when I consume that kind of news. I was just infuriated by the fact that they talked about the fact that these children died, that there are other school children in this country that are marching and literally begging for something to be done to ensure their safety going forward, talking about solutions and never talking about gun control in any significant degree. Not doing anything to debunk the idea that school resource officers are in any way useful for preventing these disasters. They're not. We've been using them increasingly since Sandy Hook and haven't seen school shootings go away. They're not working. It doesn't work. There have been school resource officers at places that had school massacres. So we need to let go of that delusion. And they mentioned that idea is out there, but not everyone agrees, but they never said why, and they never gave alternative options. So those beautiful children who remind me so of my precious Gacy, were murdered in their own classroom by a sadistic killer who had a perfectly legal gun in a school that had a lot of the safety precautions that people say we need. It seems like it's insulting to their memory. The funny thing to me is after every single one of these tragedies, people come out and say, don't politicize it, don't politicize it, when neutrality is a political decision. Deciding to be political means, or deciding to be apolitical means that you are upholding the status quo. There is literally no way not to politicize these incidents. There is not. Because the decision to do nothing is a decision. The decision not to have the conversation is a decision. And it's a political decision. The reason you don't want to talk about gun control in moments like this, when we are angry, when our hearts are broken, is because you don't want us to have the energy to have the conversation with you. You'd rather just wear us down and let us feel like we can't do anything. And I'm fucking sick of it. I'm fucking sick of it. The vast majority of people in this country support common sense gun laws. Yet, we cannot get any sort of reform passed because there are people who financially benefit every single time these children are murdered. Every single time. Gun sales have gone up. There are people who have blood money that they make every time these incidents happen. Every time that we try to talk about gun control, they use that fear that people's rights are going to be taken away from them to sell guns and ammo, and it's disgusting. And I'm not going to be silent about that. I'm not going to let you tell me that it's not political to talk about or to not talk about gun control right now. I'm not going to let that happen. If you try to tell me not to politicize this event, then I'm going to turn that right back on you, because you telling me not to talk about it is politicizing the event, because you are agreeing with neutrality, you're agreeing with the oppressor, you're agreeing with violence, you're agreeing with murdering children. And I can't allow that to happen any longer. None of this happens in a vacuum. The answer to this problem is not gun control solely. Gun control is a big part of it, but it's not solely. We have to start supporting the vulnerable in our communities. We have to start knowing how to see things like this coming and stop them. And the way that you do that, the very first step, is making sure that those guns don't end up in the hands of people with ill intent. And that's difficult, because that's going to mean that there are going to be people who want to have military-grade hardware for their own amusement and have no ill intent, but will not be able to have it because their right to that entertainment is not more important than children's right to their lives.